Today's Christmas story is set in a contact centre. Yeah, that magical place where the whole music never ends, the queue never goes down, and someone is always shouting, "Who logged this without notes?" This is the story of Amina, a quietly brilliant quality control analyst who holds the whole place together without anyone noticing. That is, until the day the CEO walked in unannounced and she handed him the truth on a plate. Grab a brew, grab a blanket, grab your slightly burnt mince pies. I'm Caroline Esterson, and this is Little News, Big Careers, your Christmas edition. Small stories, big lessons, and absolutely no corporate tinsel. It was December the 22nd, that special time of year when customers who have panic bought are now anxiously waiting for their deliveries. Systems freeze and call handlers question every career decision they've ever made. Amina walked onto the floor, unwinding her scarf, ready for another predictable day of unpredictability. Except today wasn't unpredictable. Today was biblically chaotic. The dashboard glowed like a Christmas tree possessed. One board read queue 198, another average wait time 47 minutes. And a smaller one simply said, "Help!" A supervisor whispered, "I think the payment gateway's gone again." Someone was crying. Someone else was eating celebrations for breakfast. There were 12 bounties left, obviously. Amina hadn't even sat down when 3 agents descended like emotional pigeons. "Amina, can you listen to this call? Amina, this one is really angry. Amina, is this form even real?" She did what she always did. Breathed in, breathed out, and found the centre of the storm. Because Amina didn't get dramatic, she got focused. Then the VIP line, the one used by MPs, journalists and high-value clients, suddenly dropped to dead tone. The pressure rose. The floor buzzed with panic. Amina asked, "Who's covering VIP today?" Silence. Of course, the specialist was off sick with norovirus. Classic, eh? She sat down to patch the system manually when the unthinkable happened. The CEO arrived on the floor, unannounced, in a Navy quarter zip, the expression of a man popping into a bake sale, not a battlefield. He clapped his hands together. "Festive vibes, how lovely! So, how's morale today?" Morale was, of course, gently decomposing in a corner, but nobody said anything. He beamed. "I thought I'd spend the morning with the frontline. Good to get close to the action." Amina blinked. The team stared. Someone accidentally hung up on a customer out of shock, and the timing couldn't have been worse, because at that exact moment the transfer light flashed. A nightmare escalated call was incoming. This customer had been bounced for 11 days, 3 failed deliveries, screenshots, notes, grievances, momentum, and righteous fury. The agent whispered, "Amina, I can't do this." Amina stepped in, but before she could root it, the CEO said, "I'll take this one." He said it like he was volunteering to cut the ribbon at a school opening. Amina froze. Are you sure?" "Oh, absolutely. Great learning opportunity." For who exactly?" "For all of us," he said, glowing with obvious confidence. She stared at him. He had no headset, no training, no knowledge of the system, no concept of the emotional terrain he was about to enter. But you know what? Fine. If he wanted the front line, he would get the front line. The supervisor scrambled to clear a spare desk. Amina sat beside him. She slid him a headset, logged him in, routed the escalation. He inhaled like he was about to enter a yoga class. Then the customer unleashed a full verbal avalanche, 11 days of frustration condensed into one continuous sentence. The CEO, wide-eyed, visibly shrank. Amina slid the timeline towards him. He tried empathy. Oh, Mrs. Jackson, I completely understand your frustration. The customer replied, with respect, you clearly don't. He tried reassurance. Ah, Mrs. Jackson, I can see where the issue started, the customer said. And yet here I am explaining it again. He tried authority. Let me just check that for you. He pressed the wrong button. The system made a noise no system should ever make. Amina stepped in, not to rescue him, but to rescue the customer and the truth. She calmly took over the call, resolved it in under 90 seconds, and sent the correct documentation. The CEO watched, humbled at a cellular level. He removed the headset slowly, like a man returning from war that he'd not trained for. Amina, he whispered, how do you do this all day? She didn't say, because I have to, because no one listens when I flag systems issues, because your policies don't match reality, because this department runs on resilience, not resources. She simply said, it's easier when the system works. We've been trying to get fixes approved since March. He looked around at the agents juggling impossible calls, at supervisors firefighting without tools, at the reality he'd never seen. He stayed for 2 hours, shadowed calls, listened, really listened. And when he left, he said quietly, we need to change this and I want you in the room for how. Amina nodded, not craving praise, not hungry for recognition, just relieved someone had finally seen the truth. Here's the thing about what just happened with Amina. None of it was accidental, and all of it lines up beautifully with what research says. First, let's talk about emotional labour. Frontline work isn't just about answering questions. It's absorbing people's stress, calming them down, decoding the system, and doing it all while trying to keep your own nervous system from calling it quits. Psychologists will tell you that emotional regulation under pressure is one of the biggest predictors of burnout. And Amina was doing it twice, once for the customer and again for the CEO. Second, frontline insight. There's loads of research showing that the people closest to the customer spot problems first, not the board, not the senior leaders, not the people firing off strategy slides. It's always the people doing the work. But if they don't think anyone's listening, they stop speaking up. Amina hadn't just seen the issue, she'd reported it for 7 months. The crisis wasn't new, the attention was. Third, leaders only learn when the reality punches them in the face. Now, don't get me wrong, dashboards are lovely, but one horrible escalated call will teach a CEO more about the customer experience than 10 slide decks and a leadership away day in the Cotswolds. There's something called experiential learning. Basically, you learn faster by feeling the pain than by hearing the summary, which is exactly what happened to him. He lived the gap between what he thought happened and what actually happened. And finally, resilience isn't the goal. We've spent years telling frontline teams to be resilient while giving them systems that would make Gandhi swear. What the research says is this: don't build more resilience, fix the environment. And that only happens when people like Amina, the ones who actually understand the moving parts, get invited into the room. This wasn't a heroic moment. It was a truth being seen moment, a realization that the person holding everything together wasn't the leadership. It was the quietest, calmest person on the floor.
Small shifts, sharp impact. These are quick-fire career moves, real things you can do before your next coffee refill.
Okay then, so let's pull out the big learning moments from this one. The truths underneath all that chaos. Key message number 1, visibility doesn't come from shouting, it comes from clarity under pressure. People remember the person who steadies the room, not the person who panics the loudest. Number 2, frontline insight is gold. If the people doing the work say something's broken, it's broken. And ignoring them doesn't make the problem go away. It just guarantees a bigger explosion later. 3, leadership is behaviour, not a job title. Amina didn't wait to be asked. She didn't need a badge saying leader. She saw a mess, understood the reality, and acted with calm authority. That's leadership in its purest form. And 4, don't confuse resilience with tolerance for nonsense. The real move isn't asking people to cope better, it's fixing the environment they're forced to cope in. And here's your quick-fire career move for today, a 2mm shift that actually changes things. Next time you're quietly cleaning up a mess that isn't yours, pause and ask, who actually needs to see this? Not to shame or to stir the pot, but to make the truth visible to the person who can actually fix it. Because the fastest way to drive change isn't working harder, it's making reality impossible to ignore. If you enjoyed this episode, hit follow and leave a review. Think of it like gifting me a digital tin of Quality Street, only I don't have to pretend to like the Strawberry Delights anymore. And if work turns into a festive bin fire of people problems, you know where to find us. We fix that stuff for a living. Just email me, Caroline@inspireyourgenius.com with the word help in the subject line. So, Merry Christmas, legends. Remember, make your move, even if it's tiny, especially if it's tiny.